Okay, hi everyone, my name is Adele, and I'm just going to briefly talk about some prototyping tools or techniques that you can use later on for the hands-on session. So first of all, have any of you designed or built a website or an app before? Yeah. What about anything in XR? Would anyone like to share your struggle with Unity? Any challenges, anything you hate about building in Unity? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Anything else?
Other times they made the things all of a mess.
Yeah, that is so true. I've had a fair share of trouble, especially with updating all the new versions. Everything just stops working. But basically, a lot of people that I talk to also have a lot of things to complain about doing that in Unity. So today I'm mostly going to talk about the earlier versions of prototypes, so you don't have to go straight into Unity every time. And if you haven't done anything in Unity yet, it is one of the most used platforms for developing things in extended reality. For example, for MetaQuest or previously the HTC versions. So this is often a huge barrier for many people, especially people who just started using it, and experienced users and developers. And even for experienced individuals, it usually takes a long time, and many people encounter just troubles doing it. So going back to the design process, when you design something, you rarely go from the very first idea to the final product. It is not a linear process, and in fact, the process often looks like that, where you just go back and forth, over many iterations. So since Unity takes a long time to do any sort of changes, it's not very feasible to make every change in Unity, especially in the early stages of design. Has anyone seen the design thinking process? So we usually follow this process where we emphasize how iterative each stage is. So we often create multiple rounds of prototypes ranging from different fidelity. So in earlier stages, we might start with quick and cheap prototypes that we can quickly test our ideas and explore ideas with. And later on, we can use other tools to create high fidelity that looks closer to the final product. So why do we use prototypes? There are three main reasons or benefits. First of all, it helps you explore ideas and help you think early on and assist with the design thinking process. It also helps you communicate your ideas, especially in this workshop, you're working in groups of 3 to 5, so we need to make sure that your idea is like your group mates understand what you're trying to say or what you're thinking, and to get everyone on board. And especially in the end, there's also a presentation, or we'll be roaming around during the week and you want to communicate what you want to do with us as well. And third reason, evaluation. So this again happens in multiple stages during your design process. So you want to quickly test to see if your idea works. It can be among your group, or it can be other people, someone who has never seen your project, or maybe other groups as well. Prototypes usually represent parts of the final product. So what parts should prototypes represent? There are actually a lot more than these, but these are just the more relevant aspects that maybe you can consider during this week. So spatiality, which is like the position and scaling of objects. There is physicality, which involves tangible objects that you can touch. Hierarchy, so like the structure of different components within your Unity project. Control, so the interaction techniques, so how, whether you're touching it, doing some sort of gestures as input and etc. Locomotion, so movement of the user in virtual or physical space. There's interactivity, so the reactive and animated portions of your prototype, and the content, so 2D or 3D objects within the scene. So prototypes again have different levels of fidelity, and different aspects can be tested and explored. So again, high fidelity feels and behave more like the final product, whereas lo-fi, they are less refined, and that helps us focus on the parts that we want to test without being distracted on the, for example, how the shape looks, or how the shape changes how you feel about the I don't know, so like overall feeling of the app. Which, if you want to test that, then go for it. But if you, for example, just want to test out the interaction flow of your prototype, then there's benefit in stripping away the appearance of different components. So now I just want to talk about lo-fi prototyping for extended reality specifically. So outside of extended reality, for example, when you're designing for websites or apps on the phone, these interfaces are mostly 2D. So the spatial element and all those elements that I mentioned before can be less relevant. So which makes some of the techniques still usable, but it doesn't test all aspects that you want to test. So for example, if you want to think about where you place certain objects, you might want to use something like a 360 VR template where you can sketch on top to show where you want different components to be, which I'll talk about later actually. There is also storyboarding where you can think about the certain scenarios, how user's journey would look like, and etc. That can also be combined with the VR templates like the one you can see on the right. Sketching doesn't have to be on paper, it can also be done immersively. So on MetaQuest and in a lot of VR devices, there are immersive sketching apps. For example, this one is Gravity Sketch, where you can create spatial sketches. But what about experiences and interactions? Other than where you want to place certain objects or how you want it to look in space, what about how certain objects react when you touch it? So let's do a quick exercise. Imagine this is a button that you can press on, and this controls something physical in the room. It can be your mobile phone or a chair or anything. So just take a minute to think about what you want it to control. Can I have a volunteer to tell us? Just come up here and tell us what you want this button to do.
Explore.
Yeah.
Explosion.
But what's going to explode?
Maybe the whole room.
And yeah.
I think there will be two options. The first is one click, as you mentioned, and it would be an explosion, of course. And the second one is to move it, like WSD in the keyboard.
Yeah, okay. So not pressing down, but actually like moving it.
Trying to move to the four sides.
Yeah. And any other ideas? rotate it. Yeah, so if we actually looked at the participants who was expressing their ideas just then, we can see that they use their hand motions to help talk about how they want to control it. So we're seeing this example that like body motion is very crucial in expressing these interactions. So when I did the slides, I just imagined it being pressed. I didn't think about the moving it up, down, and rotate it. So that's also a good point, which again, we need to rely on like some sort of motion to express. So in physical prototyping, there's a method called body storming where we can use physical props and we manipulate them, or in this example shown here, the person doing it is wearing this thing that's pretending to be a headset. So your vision is limited to what you can see. You pretend that your vision is limited to what you can see in that rectangle. And in this process, this person will describe what he wants to do. And in return, there are facilitators around this person who will move the physical objects according to how the system would behave. Or he can also describe what he expects to happen in this case. And in this process, there's also motions involved. For example, is this if he thinks it's appropriate to pinch it to grab it, or whether he would lean in to grab it. So these are important insights for when you're designing something for extended reality. Similarly, this method can also be used for 2D interfaces, but physical prototyping where you can cut out paper, you can draw on paper and cut out the shape, and you can test out or show how you expect the interactions happen. Similarly, you can do that with Play-Doh so that the objects can be represented in 3D. And in the example on top, you can see that there's a cutout where it represents what you can see on a phone. There are also ways to digitize physical prototypes. So if you've done some sort of designs on mobile phone apps, you might have come across this app called Pop or Marble, where you can take photos of the paper prototype and make them interactive. So similarly, papers have done similar ways of turning physical prototype into a clickable version on phones. And again, there are some apps that exist that you can try to use as well. For example, this one's called Lecture6, where you can actually assign different types of triggers, like click and hover with your hands or the controller to select certain objects within the scene. And then you can move the scene, you can move on to the next scene, which you're going to curate before you let someone test it. So in this case, you author a specific workflow where like the person experiencing it will go through as you design the different scenes. So since we'll be working with haptics in extended reality, I want to talk about multimodal interactions. So specifically, how do we quickly communicate these multimodal interactions? For example, if you were to design some sort of haptic feedback, even before feeding it into LLM to generate the pattern, how do you envision this haptic pattern to be like? And when does this happen? How does it relate to the XR prototype that you're building? So there are different questions which at the moment, I don't think there is a suitable way of representing other than maybe body storming where you can actually describe with your body and your voice what you intend to happen. So can we do this digitally? I built a quick prototype just to test this out, but I'm not sure if there's volume. Oh, I'm not sure what the volume is. Oh,
Did you share the volume when you shared the screen?
good. That's all right. It's a really quick video where I can just voice over it. So I was just saying that this is a basketball hoop, and I built a basketball. So when I throw it, I want it to travel inside the hoop, which it missed. I also wanted to create different conditions. For example, I want the basketball to move, the hoop to move around, so it's harder for me to get it in. So it's really lucky, but yeah, I was just describing the whole process. So as I was moving it, I said the basketball hoop is moving left and right, and then I'm going to throw the basketball. And because the system recognized that this motion, when I said I'm gonna throw the basketball, it would actually throw the sketch throughout the projectile. So when I did it again, the basketball went that way. So I just had to describe what I was doing. And then the next person who tests this prototype, they can explore themselves. Basically, all the interactions, they can use the same method to sort of understand my vision. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I've got a prototype that could be tested if you're interested. And regarding what I was talking about earlier with the multimodal interactions, we also wanted to see how you would communicate your ideas with the resources available in this workshop. So if you're interested in sharing your insights with me or letting me observe how you communicate amongst yourself or ideate, please let me know. Like Ravindu, I've also got some consent form. So if you're interested in giving feedback on the prototype as well, please let me know. Thank you.